That this week's episode is brought to you by Marco's Pizza. Monday and Tuesday nights are Carroll U nights at Marco's Pizza in Waukesha. Mention you're a Carroll student and receive 25% off your entire online or delivery order. Marco's Pizza, every store, every day, the Italian way. Welcome back, everybody, to the See You in Van Mail podcast. Once again, my name is Sam Gruber, our sports information director. Today, I am joined by senior basketball guard Justin Gruber. Justin, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Sam. I've been itching to be on this podcast, so I really appreciate you reaching out.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad to have you. So, for those who don't know you, why don't you introduce yourself a little bit more?
So like you said, my name's Justin. I'm a senior in school, senior standing. I'm going to be a junior eligibility-wise. And then I play guard, like you said, on the basketball team. And then I guess just a fun fact, favorite TV show. Actually, it's no longer running. It's the Jordan documentary. I don't know if you want to call that a show or a series, but I really got into that over quarantine. So.
Did you watch it live when it came out on ESPN each night, or did you watch it after it came out on Netflix?
So I recorded it on ESPN because I hate sitting through commercials. So then, like, after the first one was done, I would start watching the first one. And then I'd finish this because it was a 2-hour thing every night. So.
Right. Yeah. Well, now it's on Netflix, so now you really don't have to put up with commercials either. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Yeah, I watched it too. It was a great one. So and for someone who didn't play a lot of basketball growing up, like I still was able to, or even watched a lot of basketball until fairly recently, I really was able to appreciate it. They did a great job.
Yeah, I like how they had so many other people talking about, like, for example, like Roy Williams in one of the first couple episodes, just listening to him talk about Michael when he was in college. I thought that was a really cool touch that they added.
Right, totally. Okay, cool. So getting into basketball now, tell us a little bit about your background story. How did you get into playing basketball?
So I started playing basketball from a very young age, probably like 4 or 5 years old. I still remember playing like at YMCA basketball leagues where you had to have like each player on each team had a certain colored wristband so you know who to guard. That was like my first memory of basketball. But so yeah, that's kind of how I got into it, and I loved it ever since. I played other sports growing up too, but basketball just always had my heart.
It always stuck out. It always was something you just always fall back on.
Yeah, I mean, I played baseball growing up until like 8th grade, and that just wasn't my thing too much. I enjoyed it to be around my friends, but then I played football pretty much all through high school too. And I don't know, just basketball, there's something about it. I can't really put my finger on it and say something specific that made it that much more enjoyable for me, but it just always was the one I enjoyed the most.
Cool. So how did that transition to playing through high school and then eventually ending up here at Carroll?
So it wasn't until the summer before my senior year that I actually started hearing any interest from colleges and had any like plans to even play college basketball. It really wasn't on my radar pretty much until my senior year. Wasn't recruited by very many schools, but I was introduced to Coach Combs through basically my AAU program. We had actually Ryan Clara used to play on the team. His dad introduced me to Coach Combs, and then after that, it was kind of set that they were the front runners for the school that I wanted to attend. So
kind of like a first come first serve thing for you. Like they were the first ones to reach out.
They weren't necessarily the first, but they were the first school that I ever had an intention of going to. Some of the other schools were really far away, and I wasn't really looking to go too far away from home. So,
gotcha. Cool. So what's your favorite thing about this basketball team that you're with, either this year or the one from a year ago?
Yeah. Well, this year I think we've got a lot of like really high energy guys. I mean, we've had high energy guys every year, but I think this year we've had an influx of youth on our team. We have a lot of freshmen and sophomores that are really hungry and they're ready to play. They're ready to play. So It's going to be interesting to see, like, with only playing 8 games, how that carries over. Because normally we would almost be coming up on game time soon. So it's made it a lot easier in terms of getting our offense and defensive schemes kind of built from the ground up this year. I know that's something that I'm sure other teams have had struggles with in the past, where you kind of start the season and you got to play games so quickly that the newer players aren't quite up to speed yet.
Right.
Whereas with basketball this year, we've got the whole first semester where we're not going to be playing games. So it really gives the coaches time to build things from the ground up for those new guys.
What's it been like for you? You mentioned you're a junior, but a senior class-wise, so you've been around the program for almost 4 years now. What's it like now that you've stepped into almost like a big leadership role with these young guys on the team?
Yeah. It's kind of funny you asked that, because there's some times where I kind of feel like the grandpa of the group, where, I'm just the old guy. It seems like there's a lot of guys that have like different music tastes and stuff like that I've never heard of. And I give some of my teammates, especially Rocco, I like to get on him a little bit because he uses a lot of lingo that I don't know. But there is a lot of times where guys will come up and ask me questions about defense or offense, stuff like that. The question I've been getting a lot right now with class schedules coming up is what gen eds to take. That's a popular question I'm asked. So
it's kind of
just
nice. I was going to say it's kind of nice to have you as someone who's not only just been around the basketball program for a while, but Carroll too. So I completely get where that's coming from.
Yeah, there's a lot of times, even when I was younger, it was the same thing. Like, I would always rely on former players like Nick Penny and Chuck Soul, guys like that, just to ask them like which teachers they'd recommend and which classes they'd like to take. So that's been a big thing with our program. Guys that are in the same academic area of study, they kind of try to lean on each other and help each other through those scheduling things.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I've seen it over the years, and head coach Paul Combs really makes it a point of emphasis to build a great connection and group and almost family-like atmosphere with you all. And that's kind of evident like that. Would you agree?
Yeah, I totally agree. Every single team I've been a part of at Carroll has been really tight-knit. It's been a little bit different this year, not being able to see each other outside of practices and lifting as much. But as the season's gone on, I think we've grown pretty close so far, and we'll only continue to get closer as the season goes on and games start and whatnot. So
absolutely true. So let's shift gears a little bit. Let's talk a little bit. I've been asking everybody about their experience during quarantine. Obviously, this has been the pandemic's been tough on everybody this year, and people had to shift the way they do things in a normal summer. What was some of the things that you did during quarantine? And I guess, like, what changed a lot for you?
Yeah, so I guess the first thing that changed was not having immediate access to Van Mail all the time. I'm from an went to high school. It was always open basically, and every year passed.
Yep.
So I kind of had to get creative and find new gyms, find some private gyms to still work out and get shots up in. So tip for basketball players, always be nice to those janitors because you never know. But so that was the first big change. The second big change was I was supposed to have an internship with a company called Aerotech. And that didn't end up working out because of COVID. They had to like cut staff. So then I ended up picking up a job at the local Menards. So I spent a lot of my time there. And then also I spent some time going like disc golfing, kind of doing fun stuff on my own. And then I also got into movies more. I've been told I don't see many movies that are like staple movies that you have to see. So I've seen some more of those. The Hunger Games would be one of them. So that's kind of something I did too.
Did you watch all of the Hunger Games series then?
Yeah, so I subscribed to YouTube TV, and they had I think there's 4 movies, right? I think all 4 of them were on like in a row. So I recorded them all and watched them all. And that was actually Like it's moving up my list. That's a really good movie series. It's no Harry Potter, but it's close.
It was a really good book series too. I read 'em- I read all the books too before I saw the movies, and they definitely did a really good job comparing the books to the movies. But books are still always usually better when it
Yeah,
comes to that.
I'd agree.
Yeah. So I guess now that you're in your, I guess your senior year of undergrad, you still got a little bit more time left with the basketball program, but obviously this has been a weird academic year for everybody too. What are some positive, and obviously I would not want to be somebody who's getting ready to graduate or wanting to enjoy their final year of undergrad right now during this time. What are some positive things that you've been able to take out of this experience this year at Carroll?
Um, that's a good question. I think the main positive that I've taken from whether it's school basketball, everything from this past year, life will go on. And it may not look the same as it's always looked. It may not be the same as it's always been, but life goes on. And like people will find a way to keep on living their lives. Basketball, school, like you'll find a way to get it done. You've seen the turn to online school for some schools. It's completely online. Some schools like Carroll, it's a little half and half. But yeah, I just like that's the main thing in my mind is that life goes on and everyone's going to find a way to keep on keeping on, as they'd say.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Even though a lot of things shut down, a lot of things stopped, like our lives necessarily didn't, and we still had to make the best of the situation that we could have.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, Justin, I know you had talked about this beforehand. There's a segment about me here that you'd like to talk about, correct?
Yep. So I know I've heard from some other athletes at Carroll as well that if we're going to interview a bunch of athletes on campus, we got to know who's doing the interviewing. So we're going to ask you some questions today.
All right. I'm here for it.
So first, I guess a little bit of background about you. So like, where are you from? What high school did you go to? And what was your college experience like?
Yeah. So I'm originally from the Northwoods of Wisconsin. If anybody's familiar with it, it's a small town called Crandon. Crandon is about a half hour east of the Rhinelander area, for those that are familiar with it, or just about an hour south of Minocqua. I know a lot of people go up there to vacation and stuff. High school, there's just one small high school. It was K through 12, so I was in the same building for 13 years. And my high school graduating class was only 47. My high school total was about 250 students. So I knew everybody when I was a freshman. I knew everybody older than me, and when I was a senior, I knew everybody younger than me too. Just by playing sports, I played 3 sports at high school too. That's kind of what you did in a small high school is you played sports, or you got in trouble on the weekends. So I played sports. After 4 years there, I went to UW Whitewater for my undergrad. I spent 4 years there, some of the best 4 years ever. I majored in marketing and graduated in May of 19, so not too long ago. And while I was there, I joined, I took on a couple different roles. I was a peer mentor for a while. I helped freshmen. Um, I did some other organization stuff, and I finally joined this big marketing club on campus called the American Marketing Association. And that did leaps and bounds for me of meeting people and growing and learning to get outside of my comfort zone. And I wouldn't be in my position today without an organization like that. So if anybody's listening and is new to school and wants to, try to get out of their comfort zone, join a club and find some people with a similar interest, maybe major or, sport interest as you, and get to know those people and get out of your comfort zone that way. It'll be the best decision you ever make. So
That's a cool thing to hear. Kind of just to plug Carroll, I know we have a ton of different on-campus programs, on-campus activities, clubs, you name it. So,
and I know that I just had a marketing class actually for the MBA program here. I'm also a grad student, and I just talked with the marketing professor, and they're looking to actually start an American Marketing Association with the upbringing of our new business school. So if anybody's a business major, marketing, AMA will take you, and you will have a blast with those people of their similar mindset.
Wow, that's cool to hear. I'm also a marketing major, so maybe I have to look into that.
Yeah.
So next question I have here is, do you have any pets that we should know about?
I don't. No, I had a couple dogs growing up, and currently right now, no pets. But I had a husky growing up. That was our first dog, and then a yellow lab for most of my teen life.
Cool. What do you enjoy most about being the Carroll Sports Information Director?
Oh, I definitely think it's the athletes and interacting with you all and trying my hardest to make you all feel like your Division One athletes and professional athletes when it comes to interviewing you all after games. You know, get working on projects with you, doing stuff like this and interviews and podcasts, and even updating stats and website stuff, the media day stuff, anything to make you guys feel like to take away from your college experience that I had a great time with the athletic department. That's one of the things that I enjoy the most about being here and being the SID.
That's just so cool to hear. I completely commend you because, like you said, we do feel that it's greater than than your typical D3 experience doing stuff like this, and the photo shoot that you recently did with the teams. We all really appreciate it. So there was on your podcast with Coach Derek, it was brought up that some of the students like to prank Coach Derek. Are there any other Van Mail pranks that go on, maybe between the coaches or anything that you know about?
So actually, someone pranked me not too long ago. It was last year. And we talked about her last week episode, Erica Beckman from the women's lacrosse team. I used to work down in the bubble, down in the athletic department, kind of by the admin offices. And I was sitting at the desk, and one day I walked over to the desk and sat down in the chair, and Erica was hiding underneath the desk and scared the crap out of me. It was she says, I'm gonna do it again. But no, she's done that. And athletic director Mike Schulis, he likes to try to pull some pranks. He's given me some prank calls sometimes from different phones from numbers I don't recognize, and he'll get me, but I'm being more cautious and weary of him now.
That's funny. Dang, I didn't know Shoelist was a prankster like that. That's good information there.
Schulis is a prankster. You gotta, if you try to joke around with him, and if you try to get the upper hand on him, he's gonna make sure he comes right back and gives it right back to you.
That's funny. That's good stuff. So kind of going back on your position as sports information director, what is the most difficult part of your job?
Difficult part. I would say that's a good question. Difficult part, I think, and with this, a lot of people will say would be just like crisis communications. It's something that I'm trying to get better at because I was, like you said, I was a marketing major, and so I didn't have this job is very, a lot of people who come into this industry are PR majors or journalism majors or communications majors. Marketing helps. So one thing I've tried to learn about better is communicating and crisis and writing communications. So when we had to shut down with COVID and we halted all of our sports and we all had to send everybody back home, that was a really hard time for me because I didn't know the best way to send out this information. I didn't have anything prepared. I don't think anybody had anything prepared really. And like it was tough for me to figure out like the direction we needed to take our messaging and how we wanted to come across because we knew that there were going to be some really unhappy people and some really disappointed people. And so trying to figure that all out was tough right away, but I'm doing better. I'm connecting with more PR professionals, especially here on the campus-wide marketing team and communications team, to learn a little bit more from them. So
cool. Yeah, I'm pretty sure everyone felt the blindsided feeling once we heard that school was shut down. So
yeah, I remember I was actually in Florida with the softball team when it was in the middle of a game, and I think I was statting a game, and I looked at my phone, and the NCAA had announced that they canceled spring championships and winter and spring championships because basketball was going on. And I know our coaches were in the middle of a game. It was a beautiful night, and I sat there and I'm like, this is the last game I'm going to watch for a while. And it was tough, but um, and yeah, I mean, it was a weird time for everybody. The weirdest 48 hours in anybody in the sport industry's career, easily.
Yeah, I totally agree. So the last personal question I have is, what advice would you give someone trying to pursue a career path like yours?
Definitely look out and volunteer your time. Try to reach out to as many people as you can and network. Um, I was fortunate enough, so when I got to college, I should have talked about this too, but from it was easily my first week on campus. I started working at Whitewater's communications department in athletics. I had sent an email. I had talked to an alumni from Whitewater who actually started teaching at my high school. So that's how I got to know about the school and know about the program. She said, "Yeah, I used to work for our sports information department. It sounded really interesting to me at the time." So I sent an email and they said, "Yeah, we'll put you on the schedule for the first week of school." And all I started just by filming soccer games, home soccer matches, and filming highlight clips for football games. That's how it started. And I just continued to show up, continued to work my tail off. I eventually started statting, and statting led to office hours where I was working with photos and media guides, all the way up to basically being the main contact at Whitewater for our baseball teams. We hosted conference every year at Whitewater, and so like I was just about the main contact at Whitewater for our baseball team at the end of the year. I was the only one there at the games taking stats and talking with media. So um, work your tail off and volunteer your time. It's As a student you might not get paid the most, but you're going to get a great experience out of it and a fantastic resume builder.
Cool. I that brings me, just when you talk about statting and you've mentioned there's multiple different sports you've been statting, that leads me to the question, which sport is the hardest to take stats of?
That is a great question. Um, in my personal experience, the hardest is football because there's so many intricacies with the game. There's a couple different programs out there, and we're making the shift across the board to new programs. But football is the one that everybody is, as we shift to these new programs on the computers, people are like keeping an eye out for football because if that thing crashes or does something bad on game day, everything falls apart. Um, Another hard one that I never had to do really was volleyball. Volleyball is super quick because you got to call it every time someone touches the ball. That's a call and that's an entry in the keyboard. So those are hard, but once you get to know them, you're pretty well wanted in the industry, and you can even pick up money on the weekends by filling in for somebody at a different school if they're sick or something or can't make it. So it's good to have a wide array of stat knowledge and knowledge about sports. Oh, lacrosse too. Lacrosse is stupid hard, but I before I came here, I never knew anything about lacrosse, and so I'm still like learning more about women's lacrosse and men's lacrosse. But that's a hard sport to stat for too.
Cool. That's interesting to hear, especially about the volleyball. I didn't know every single time someone touched it that'd be recorded.
Yep. So you record the serve, set, or serve, dig, set, spike, and then as it goes over, you do the same thing back and forth until there's an error or a kill or something like that or a penalty.
Yeah. Wow. All right. So the next batch of questions are kind of quicker, just kind of meant to be lighthearted and fun that we can both answer. But first, it's a little more personal towards you too. Which sports teams do you root for?
I am a big Green Bay Packers fan. I'm a huge Packers fan, even though they have hurt me tremendously in the past. I still keep crawling back to the Packers. When they cut Kumaro this summer, I thought I was done. I thought I was getting ready to throw everything out, but here I am as they're 4-0 on the season, cheering them on, and I can't be happier any other Sunday. Um, Big Brewers fan growing up. I started to follow the Dodgers a little bit more. I was a big fan of Yasiel Puig when he first came onto the scene, and I've kind of stuck around and followed the Dodgers and Kershaw and Justin Turner a lot. I didn't get into basketball until I was in college, and so and ironically is when the Bucks started to get good too. So big Bucks fan, big LeBron, even bigger LeBron fan. So I was really happy watching him win the finals lately. Um, that's about it. Baseball, basketball, football are kind of the main sports that I follow. What about you?
I'd agree. I'm a Wisconsin kid, so Packers, Bucks, Brewers. I'm not as big of a Brewers fan. I just don't tend to follow baseball as much. But the reason I bring this up is in my experience on the basketball team at Carroll, so my sport, I am the odd man out when it comes to which teams I like. There's a lot of kids on our team from Illinois, even other states, and it's for whatever reason it's not popular to be a Packers and Bucks fan,
It
and I get
is.
hate for it.
It's not. It really is not. I mean, when I was growing up, everybody was a Packers fan. When they had Monday night games, like the whole school was green and our colors
Yes.
are red. Um, and when I got down to college at Whitewater, which also has a very big Illinois population, I was like I was meeting people and I was like, oh, talking about sports and I really like these guys, and then they're like, oh, I'm a Bears fan, and I'm like, oh, great. But I mean, like you know, the clashing that went on at schools that are close down to the border here, not too far from Illinois, is something I was not prepared for, but I've grown accustomed to it and people's viewpoints about different teams.
Yeah, it's funny how it goes down at Carroll. Um, if you could pick 3 other people at Carroll University to play a round of golf with, who would you pick and why?
Um, it's a good question because I actually did pick up golf a lot this summer. Um, I would say Mike Shoeless. I like going out with Mike. Um, Derek Marie because he's just the funniest person of all time. And does it have to be staff or can well, I would say the third person would probably be my roommate Mishak because I want to see him swing a club because he says he's only ever swung a club once, and I think it would be fun to watch him play a round of golf and see how he does.
That's funny. Yeah, if I had to pick 3, I would take Taryn Jr. on the men's basketball team. Gio, he's a junior on the men's basketball team. We actually went to the driving range over by Woodman's,
Oh
and
yeah,
it was kind of funny. I don't think Gio swung a club before either, so it was fun to golf with them. And then lastly, I'd probably take, I don't know, Kujawa seems like a really interesting guy just to talk about any sports with. He's a ton of energy, so he'd probably be
Kujawa,
our 4th.
Kujawa would be the most energy. If we had to pick a fifth, I would take Kujawa out too. But yeah, he's a lot of energy in that guy.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay, moving on here. If you could put a billboard up on I-94, what would it say and why?
I saw this question and I was like, I have no clue what I'm gonna say to it. Um, that's a. I'm gonna have you answer that one first. 'Cause
Sure. Mine would be short and sweet. It would be move on. I think
move
there's
on.
a lot of times where people can get kind of stuck in a mindset of maybe not always negative, but stuck in their ways. And I think it's a good message to spread that move on, like next play type of thing.
Okay. So more motivational, more inspirational type
Yes.
billboard. Gotcha. Well, I would probably say, um, dang, I could not think of that. I would probably say something along the lines of, um, never give up because like things are hard now, but doesn't mean that they won't be hard in a few weeks or um, down the road. So, and keeping your foot on the gas. I think
I
that's
like that. That's good. I like that a lot. There's a lot of negativity that you see, whether it's TV, media, whatever. More positivity would be good for everyone, I think.
absolutely, yeah.
This is kind of a weird one too, but I like my answer to this. But if you could make any small animal the size of a cow, what would it be and why?
I saw this too, and I thought, you know what? It reminded me of. It reminded me of the Would you rather fight one horse-sized, or would you rather fight 100 um, duck-sized horses or one horse-sized duck? And I would have to say, I would probably like to see a duck the size of a cow. I
Yes,
like ducks. I think that would be really funny to see.
that is literally the answer I had. I think it would be so funny to see a horse-sized duck. Like just walking down the street, that'd be so funny.
That would, yeah. I don't know if I would. They sometimes ducks can be like, oh, you can walk up to them and maybe give them a pet, but other times ducks are the most intimidating things on this planet. They will, especially geese. Geese instead of, yeah, no, geese can be the size of ducks and they can be smaller, but I think ducks are okay being bigger.
Yeah. What is the most embarrassing clothing item you've ever worn?
You can go back and look at my closet from 8th grade and pull out a bunch of different outfits. But I remember as a kid, uh, I slapped myself today because I used to wear these button-up arrow shirts, and I had different types of cargo shorts, and so I had a long sleeve arrow shirt that it was a button up, and I would roll up the sleeves and wear cargo shorts with it, but it would be a striped shirt and plaid shorts. And I don't know why my parents let me walk out of the house looking like that. And I was like 14 years old. So like I had to have known better, but I didn't. Like I didn't learn how to match clothing until like 2 years ago. So
It's okay. You've learned. Everyone has to go through that little phase where you kind of regret that style that you had.
it is. And
Um,
I feel like I see a lot of people online now, and as I get older, there's a lot more younger people online, and like everybody online like dresses okay as a young person, and I'm like, how come they didn't have to go through that weird phase where everything we wore was weird and like full of Hollister clothing and Aeropostale?
yeah, I agree with that statement. Very much so a different world for younger people these days.
Yeah.
Um, if I had to answer that, I wore a pretty bad like Halloween costume to like the Halloween football game my senior year. Because I didn't play. I played football up until my senior year. It was it was pretty bad. Like the Blue Man Group, like they wear those like skin tight things, like
Yeah.
the full body suits. I wore one that was red with like a really weird cape. It was just all time bad. So yeah, I wish those would be deleted from history. But anyway, moving on. If real life was a video game and cheat codes were in this video game, what would be some cheat codes that you'd like to use?
I would like to use the cheat codes on how to work without sleep and how to like not need 8 hours of sleep because my mind like never shuts off. And so like it's like 12:30 and I'm like, I probably should go to bed. I gotta wake up at like 7, but nope, I stay up for like another hour. So um I would probably try not to sleep. Flying would be really cool. Um and I don't know, maybe redos. Like if I had like a restart button, like the past 50, like that Rick and Morty sketch where they had their redo button, like something like that.
Yes.
Like
I
I would,
love Rick and Morty. I remember exactly what you're talking about.
yep, the Vada acid episode.
Yeah. That
Yep.
would be clutch, a redo button. One of the things that I was thinking of was like teleportation. I
Okay.
hate sitting in traffic and I hate like the monotony of having to drive places. So I think teleporting would be really great because it also saved time.
Yeah.
And then like one different one would be or I should say another different one. It would be to like never be able to feel pain. Like if that was
Okay.
just erased, like no one has back pain when you wake up anymore. No one has knee pain. Like I think that would just be really cool to have too.
Yeah. Or like if you like slam your fingers on a door or something.
And then I I guess the last one I'll ask here is, what is your biggest kitchen fail?
Biggest kitchen fail.
I can share mine if you want, just to
Go
get
for
the
it.
ball
Yeah.
rolling. I don't remember exactly how old I was, but I was trying to get the chocolate milk out of the back of the fridge at my parents' house. And whilst pulling it forward, I hit the full gallon of 2% milk. And it fell onto the floor, and every single drop of that gallon of milk was on the floor in my kitchen. That was not a good Saturday at the Gruber house.
No, guarantee it wasn't. Oh man. Um, you know what? I have this weird memory where I feel like I tried mixing something together to make it taste good, and it like people called like I told people like, yeah, I tried doing this, and they're like, what were you doing? And I can't remember what it was, but it was like um it's gonna come to me in like the middle of the night now and I'll remember, but I yeah, I think I was like, oh, I'm out of this, so I'm gonna try this as a substitute, and I was like dead wrong. Like don't do that. Ah, what was it?
I've heard people try substituting like water for milk and cereal, if that helps.
I don't think it was that. I think it was
Okay.
something like yeah, but I'm sure I've done stuff like that before. Just like, huh? Yeah, I wish I remembered that, but I think I remembered doing something like that, and people are like, what? Like nobody does that. That's weird. Don't do that. No.
Hey, you got to get creative sometimes, but sometimes it doesn't work.
Oh, here's something, and I'm sure people are listening are gonna be mad at me. Sometimes, so I have like a bowl of cereal and a bagel with peanut butter, and sometimes like the bagels are really dry, and so I will just dip it in my cereal milk a little bit, and people look at me kind of weird. And I'm like, it's dry. It's too dry to eat right now.
I
So
don't think that's that weird.
no, but
So,
I've gotten some. I remember getting some dirty looks for it.
yeah, I'm not a big milk in my cereal guy. I like it on the side, and I've taken a lot of flack for that before. So,
Really?
yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't like soggy cereal at all. I'd rather just drink the
No.
milk on the side. So,
All right.
all right. So the last idea I had, it was kind of brought to my attention through the JJ Redick podcast, but it's a draft.
Yeah.
So we each have to draft 5 fast food restaurants, preferably ones that are close to Carroll, just in case people are looking for new places to go.
Yeah.
So then we just go every other, and then we'll see who has the better team of fast food restaurants at the end. So you can start if you'd like.
Okay. My top five. I'm gonna go with.
It's every other, remember. So you get one, then I
Oh.
get one.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm pulling Qdoba. Qdoba is number one all time, and I see it right here on this list, and I'm like, yeah, obviously that should be a little higher, but Qdoba number one.
That hurts. That hurts. Because I wanted that too. Okay. Well, my first choice will be Chick-fil-A.
That's a good one too. That I almost put that one off, but Chick-fil-A is good. It's just a little far. That's a little. I don't always feel like driving to Pewaukee to go get
Yeah,
Chick-fil-A.
it is far from Carroll, I would agree.
All right. Next best fast food. Um. Huh. Speaking of Chick-fil-A, would Popeyes is in Tulsa, the nearest one. Does that qualify or no?
Yeah, that qualifies. That's close enough.
All right, I'm gonna go with
Okay.
Popeyes.
That's not one I would have thought of. That's a good pick.
That chicken sandwich is a little bit better than Chick-fil-A, I think.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think I think Chick-fil-A's chicken sandwich is a little like it's a little small.
it is.
I feel myself wanting more after eating that.
Yep.
Um, my second pick would be Culver's. I'm sorry. I feel bad because I really like Murph's, but Culver's just has it for me. So
I saw you list Murphs on here. I'm like, really? Like, I had Murphs once, and it was I don't
yeah,
know.
I guess it's kind of a fun fact about me. One of my high school teammates and friends, his dad actually owns Murph's, so
Oh,
that's why I have a soft spot for Murph's in my heart.
okay.
So
Yeah. Cool. All right. Third. I'm trying to think of some non-traditional stuff. Um, Fast food. I would say my next three would be um, I just had it on my mind and now I can't remember it. Um, this sucks. I literally just had it, like I was about to say it and now it's gone.
what kind of food was it?
Um, I don't remember. Oh my God. Fast food. Oh, Mod Pizza.
Okay.
Mod Pizza. I tried that I think last summer, and oh my God, that that stuff hits different. It's good.
Okay. I've personally never had it, so I guess I'll have to try it after this glowing review you've given it.
You can do like different types of pizza and like you can make whatever you want, and it's so good.
Cool. My third would be Jersey Mike's. That is our go-to if we're gonna get subs before a game. I don't know. I think they're hands down the best sub in town. So Jersey
I
Mike's.
I almost 100% agree with you. And I'll get to that with my next pick being Subway. I love Subway, but there's days where I'm like, you know what? Jersey Mike sounds a lot better because of the quality, but Subway will never leave me. So, because I
Okay.
always get like you can always get it hot. So,
Yeah. Do you get the same thing from Subway every time? Or do you switch it up?
I used to they had this deal where it was like a chicken parmesan sandwich. So it's literally
Okay.
just chicken breast. Get a meatball sub, but take out the meatballs and replace it with chicken breast. Yes, and get it like Italian herbs and cheese and oregano and toast it. So good.
That does sound very good.
It is. But then I like club sandwiches, like ham, roast beef, turkey. Throw that all on there. So
Gotcha.
been getting that a lot.
Cool. That was your fourth, right?
Yes.
Okay. So my fourth is gonna be Wendy's, and they would not have made my list if I didn't see this commercial recently. They now have breakfast. So
Really?
yes, they have like
Oh,
breakfast sandwiches. So
there is.
I think that ups their value a lot.
It does actually,
Yes.
because I had a bad experience at McDonald's recently, as you know, and I don't think I'm ever gonna go back. I'm sure I will at some point, but I want to stay away from a while.
I know that McDonald's could be a little bit of a story, but if you want to tell the viewers just briefly what happened.
Basically, I was overcharged for my $7 meal by $25 at the drive-through one morning. It
That is
started out as a great morning, and then I got two billing statements on my debit card for $25 and $7, and I was not happy. So, thankfully, I think I got it back. I'll have to check my billing statement again, but I think they refunded me. So,
Yeah, that is all time right there. I've never heard of something like that before you told me that. So your fifth. What is your fifth?
my fifth and final, gotta go with Taco Bell, man. I will pound some Taco Bell.
That's always a solid option. My last one is gonna be Noodles. It wasn't ever a favorite of mine until like the past couple years. I don't know what it is. It's
Yeah.
just very if I'm looking for a place where I know I'll be full after eating, I go to Noodles. I just get plenty of food every time
Yep.
for a reasonable price too. So,
Yep. I didn't go to a Noodles until I was in college because we didn't have any up north, and yeah, it changed the game.
cool. Well, I don't know if we're actually going to do the Twitter poll or not, but I'd be interested to see who has the more popular list.
Who thinks, yeah, who's got the better list? I'll do that. We'll put up a little Twitter poll. Probably this episode will come out. Today's Thursday. It'll come out on Friday, and then on Monday, whenever I reshare stuff on Monday, I'll put out a Twitter poll, and we'll see. So those who are listening, go to our Twitter poll at CU and Van Mail's Twitter account, and vote who's got the better draft of fast food choices. Listen back and make sure you put your vote out there and retweet to spread awareness. So that'll be fun. That was a fun little challenge. I like that. Thank you, Justin.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too.
So I guess, is there anything else you'd like to say or before we finish up here?
I think if I came on this podcast and I didn't mention Steve Staub and the athletic training staff, I would be remiss. I think just me personally, I went through a pretty tough injury my sophomore year, and they helped me immensely. They pushed me to be back on the floor the following year. And I give them all the credit in the world for that. And I just want to show them my appreciation. I can't thank them enough for the way that they've helped me through that injury. And I know there's a lot of other athletes that feel the same way. So
I would like to reiterate that 1,000%. Steve has been a savior for this not even just athletics, but for this university during this COVID-19 pandemic. Steve has laid out a terrific plan for distancing, for testing, for practicing to make sure that you all can still have an enjoyable experience here this fall semester while still maintaining to be safe. And we've done, compared to other schools in the country and even in Wisconsin, we've done a phenomenal job. And I don't think anybody in this department can thank Steve or his staff enough after this year. So Steve, if you're listening, thank you once again for everything you do for us and everything you will continue to do for us. So that'll wrap it up. Thank you all. Thank you, Justin, again for coming on today. We really appreciate it. I love the new segment. I'm going to have to steal some of these questions for future guests coming up.
sounds good. Thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Go Pios.
Go Pios.